Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler, and this is episode 119. This is my projection on 2023. It's the who's going to be the winner and losers in the timeshare business. So the way I'm going to talk about this, and this is really an interesting talk for me anyway, and it should be interesting for you. But I'm going to talk about the macro trends in 2023, what's going on with the economy and the industry itself. I'll give you a little bit of background just for those of you who don't know about my background in timeshares. Then I'm going to break into the analysis. First, I'm going to look at the financial markets, what they think about the timeshare industry, and then I'll talk about trends for Hilton, the three brands that I'll be looking at: Hilton, Marriott, and WorldMark / Wyndham, because those are the top three. So I'm going to do that, but before I do that, I'll tell you a little bit about my channel, and then I'm going to dive into the details step by step. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and WorldMark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. Well, I'm back. It's the macro trends in 2023. So the first thing is the consolidation of Vistana and Marriott. It's mostly complete. People are getting used to it, but it seems like much of the infrastructure is done. I'm sure there'll be improvements. And similarly for Diamond and Hilton, the integration is mostly done. There's a continuing rollout, so there'll be add-ons, new features are going to be added, probably more active in the Hilton Diamond than Vistana Marriott as far as improvements and changes, but similar in the sense that it's announced, it's actually started, the process is active, new, you can book sites and so forth. And Wyndham WorldMark is stable. Last year they had, I believe it was last year or the year before, they had some purchases they'd done, but they've been pretty much stable. The macro level from an economy perspective is with higher interest rates expected to weaken. Whether there's a recession or not, it's not clear. But the interest rates are higher than they were in 2022, at least at the beginning. And that it's going to impact the timeshare industry because buyers are more cost conscious. With inflation, it's affected purchase choices. So I think those are the macro trends we have going forward from both an industry specific players and from an economy perspective, and that'll play a big part in my analysis going forward. Just some background about me to give you some additional sense of why I have a good sense for all this and why I think this is a very valuable update. Is I spent 2022 mostly living full-time in timeshares, and I attended as many sales presentations as I could because I was trying to learn. In many cases, in Marriott, that was really the only way to learn. In Hilton's case, I was looking whether I wanted to upgrade, which I did do on the Hilton side. So I was trying to learn as much as I could and going to the sales presentation, trying to get the best deal and trying to work out what was the best for me. As a background, I'm an elite member both with Hilton, Marriott, and with Club Wyndham WorldMark. So I am at a high level, a lot of experience. I've owned timeshares for over 15 years, so I've got a lot of background. I've stayed in over 100 timeshares in the last 2 years, and I'm a real estate investor. So I'm not just using timeshares, but I look at timeshares as a form of real estate, and I'm also a real estate investor, like I said. So now let me go into some of the analysis. So one of the data points I wanted to look at was how did the financial market look at it, and it's a little tricky to get an apples to apples comparison, but I'll talk about what I did. So I looked at Hilton Grand Vacations. That's actually a separate company than the Hilton Hotels, and their EPS and this is all from Yahoo Finance, shows a 22% year-over-year expected growth in 2023. Now, who knows actually what's going to happen, but it's interesting perspective that they see growth in Hilton at 22%, which is the top of all three. Marriott, that is also the vacation, I believe it to be the Marriott Vacation Club. I think it's completely separate. And that shows a 14% or about 50% below what Hilton growth is going to be. And then Club Wyndham, it's really the Wyndham Travel and Leisure. So I think it's actually the hotels and everything. So it's not that this one's not really an apples to apples comparison, but it's showing a 15% growth. From a financial market perspective, they would rank Hilton as the best growth opportunity. They would see Marriott as the lowest, and Club Wyndham kind of just slightly above a Marriott. But again, it's all relative. They're all growing, so you could say the timeshare industry is relatively healthy. So now let me talk about the trends that I see in Hilton, and I see the rollout of HGV Max continuing. There will be new features like the search. They're going to have an automated search, and they have open season credits. They even have Uber credits at certain levels of a membership that you get free to and from Ubers. They have an annual budget that you can spend. They're going to add lots of inventory right now. Not the inventory isn't fully rolled out, and they're going to be upgrading over the next 5 years, or it depends. I'm not exactly sure the number of years, but 5 years at a minimum. They're going to be upgrading some of the Diamond resorts into more the Hilton Club, Hilton brand, and there'll be a lot of nice upgrades. So there's some great locations that are going to be upgraded. And the way I look at this is this creates value for owners. So I've bought now, and the properties are going to get upgraded. My maintenance fees will go up, but probably not as much as I will. The prices will go up, and I've already purchased, so my prices are, from a purchase perspective, are already locked in. And that's one of the reasons I spent time upgrading, because I figured with the increase in value in the properties, I was buying at the lower point. I could be wrong, and again, I look at it from a real estate investor, and it's kind of like buying a fixer-upper. They bought Diamond, and they're going to raise it up to Hilton's level, so they bought a fixer-upper. So that's usually in real estate, that's a good thing. So I look at this as Hilton is probably the best opportunity. And the way I look at it, Hilton maintenance fees are, even though I think the quality of Hilton is very close to Marriott, their maintenance fees, when I look at how much it costs to stay, are quite a bit lower. And everything's arguable, it's all subjective, but just I do know the maintenance fees are similar to WorldMark fees on a night cost to stay, pretty much across the board. And I've done videos that you can look at. I'm not going to go through that again. So that's kind of interesting to me. So my bottom line is, for 2023 and maybe even beyond, Hilton will gain the most, because they're basically improving their product. They're not only improving features, but they're improving their properties, and they're stepping up. So I think it's a huge upside, and this, both from a real estate and Yahoo Finance is backing it up from my analysis, which was comforting, because I was initially just looking at it from a timeshare person. But anyway, that's the upgrade. That's my perspective on Hilton. I'm happy to say the Marriott Vistana merger is complete. Yay. Great job. I mean, I'm glad it's over. It took 4.5 years, so a little longer than I had hoped. But what I'm looking at is they bought basically similar. So they bought their high-end properties. They bought high-end properties. Again, it's all subjective, but you can say that they bought what they already had, just more of it. So I don't see a lot of owners that are on one side or the other side necessarily jumping to buy more, because they already have the level they're at. If they're going to upgrade, they would have upgraded regardless of whether the merger happened. So that doesn't feel like they're gaining new customers, other than the general gaining customers. They're just getting the same type before. My worry is, and it's nothing with the company. The company's good, but the softening economic scenario may mean that people will hold on to their money, or they choose to spend it otherwise with inflation and so forth. I don't know of planned upgrades. There's probably ongoing, but it's not like a special upgrade because of the purchase. So there's nothing special going on. So I think Marriott, of the three, and it's bared out in the Yahoo Finance, is going to be the least growth opportunity and least additional value. I say suffer, but it's a relative comment, because nobody is truly suffering, because they're all growing. And I don't want to paint Marriott in a negative. I just don't think they're as great a value right now as the competition as far as an upside. And lastly, I'm talking about the WorldMark 2023 trends, and it's similar to Club Wyndham. They're just one of the brands, and that's where I own. I'm an elite member there, and I consider them part of the top three. Where these groups are the three, and they have the lowest maintenance And they're probably the least luxurious. Again, I'm not trying to slam on it, it's just in my opinion, and I think shared by others. I think it's probably a fair conversation. They're not bad, they're great, but it maybe not as luxurious as the Hilton or a Marriott. I think slower economy will make price important. So I think the maintenance fees they'll be in a competitive advantage from just a dollars and cents perspective. So I think it's going to help WorldMark more than Marriott, and but probably less than Hilton because they're making major improvements. So I'm kind of thinking they'll continue to expand. And again, the problem with the Yahoo Finance is it's also travel and leisure, and it's the hotels, so it's not as separate as the information I had with regards to Marriott and Hilton. But anyway, that's my analysis, and it kind of ties out with the Yahoo Finance. I was really happy to see that my personal experience and living in the timeshares, experiencing that, being very up to date on all what they're presenting to everyone. That next year is a great year for timeshares from the company's perspective. But in my opinion, the clear winner is Hilton. Followed next by Wyndham/WorldMark, and then again doing fine, but Marriott will probably, I think, see the least amount of growth. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit like and don't forget to subscribe.